Hi. Hello. And welcome to... Yes, I thought it was Wednesday today, but it's not. It's Tuesday. It's also, as you may be able to hear, substantially more reverberant than usual. And that is because this room now has laminate flooring as opposed to carpeting. So it's gonna be more echoey. I have attempted to mitigate it. Hopefully it's not too problematic. Yeah. Welcome to the Stram. Also my throat's acting up today. That's fine. Don't worry about it. It'll pass. It's Final Fantasy time. And we're gonna be doing the things. What are we gonna be doing? Who knows? Let's find out. So, last time, brief recap. Speaking of brief recap, what happened last time? Last time we went to the Space Pancake. That's what happened. After our second dreamy time about Jim, Jimmy, and Jen. And we went to the Space Pancake because that was the nearest space thing. We come from the Space Potato, we needed to go to another space thing, another garden. The Space Pancake was the nearest one, so we went there. We were informed that for his foolishness, Kyle is to be executed for attempting to kidnap the president. President Jimson, I believe was the name. But the Space Potato will not be blamed in any way, and Pikachu is rather relieved to hear that. Not relieved to hear that his you know, I don't know what to call him, rival, I guess. Well, he's our rival. He's just, his bully is gonna be executed? I guess it's his bully. Yeah, I guess Kyle is Pikachu's bully. Anyway, while we're there though, we are given orders to go to Jimson City forthwith, and we are given our orders to assassinate the sorceress, who we have seen precisely once. She did kidnap Kyle, but, you know, other than that, we don't know her whole deal. But oh well, they're the orders we've got. And we are to do this via the purposes of long-range fire, which is why Buckethead's here. Jesse McCree, I believe was the name. Which we subsequently discovered was an Overwatch reference, I think? Something? No, she's a red flag, yes. She's one of the... what was it, 55% of the characters in this game who are red flags? Something like that. Yeah, so that's another one on the list. An ever-growing list. I don't know how many more there are, really, but, you know, these things happen. So, yeah, we're going to Jimson City and we need a sniper for the purposes of the assassination, and as a consequence, we are enlisted the services of Jesse McCree from the Space Pancake, and he'll be joining us in the attempt. So we get on the train and we go there. Turns out Jesse McCree is a massive flirt, but at the same time tries to show off the fact that he's a loner because he's a sniper. Which is a bit creepy in today's society, but in the 90s it was considered just generally foolish rather than creepy. I don't know. So, all that done, we head to Jimson City. We get to Jimson City. Turns out we can't get into the mansion of the person we're supposed to meet because he wants us to pass a test in order to prove our bravery. So we go to a labyrinth to get a code to go back to the thing. While we're in the labyrinth, we meet a couple of Minotaurs. Harold and Harold. That's how you know it's anime. The red flags. There's got to be. Again, do not understand people who think Final Fantasies in general are anime, because this is anime. Yeah, so we met a couple of let's say hello to Harold and Harold. This Harold, I hope this is that. Harold and Harold, there they are. They really don't look anything like the ones in the thing. There's also the Skelly Bob. We freed the spirit of a king or something. As somebody who's played the game multiple times and has always done this side quest, I have no idea what that's about. Anyway, we go back, we type in the code. We tell it to the person at the gate, and we're allowed in the mansion. We make ourselves at home, and Cheery, the leader of the resistance in Timber, who has decided to leave Timber for reasons I can't recall, goes, don't worry, I'll sort out the appointment, because it turns out, well, she doesn't say that it turns out, I think she's fairly aware that the general that we're here to see, the general of the Galbadian army, is in fact her father. So yeah, she goes off and says, I'll speak to Dad, and then leaves. So we just sort of sit around without her in the room for a bit, and do stuff. Hang on. Hang on. Yes, I can do things. Right. Yeah. So she leaves. We have a chitter-chat amongst ourselves for a little bit. Oh, my setup's all different. I've moved this desk 3 times in the last 3 days, and all of the things on it. Give me a second while I readjust slightly. Move the microphone just a bit. Hopefully it doesn't make loud noises. It's a Chib. Hello, how you doing? Also, how are you doing, Ragdoll? I always forget to ask. It's incredibly rude of me. Yeah, well, you've just missed the summary of last time. Yeah. So Cheery goes and leaves the room to go and get her dad, because it turns out what are we calling what's Cheery's last name, and thus the general who owns this mansion's surname. You're doing a desk makeover in the middle of the stream. I'm just rearranging things so that they're in a properly comfortable position, because I've had to move everything for the purposes of reflooring this room, which is why it's a bit more echoey. Yeah. Don't worry about it, it's fine. What was the name again? Well, I think we were umming and ahhing about Jimson, but I think we agreed that Jimson was the name of the president, so that the city we're in is Jimson City. But we might have said something previously. Anyway, I'll draw him. That's fine, he comes in. I need to remember how to draw. How does that work? Perspective dictates that that's a very high chair. Oh, General Jen Errol. I think that was it, yes. So General Jen Errol comes in. Everyone has similar hair in this. It's sort of slick back, although he does have sort of greying temples. Oh, I got another copyright claim on the last VOD, so that's fun. I need to keep talking to make sure that happens less. Although I have almost finished another piece of music to add to the fake soundtrack. It's a sequel to Everyone Has a Ponytail. Everybody in this game has the same hair and face. Certainly all the women have the same face. Variety in design. Who needs it? Who needs it? Yeah, so the father, Jen Errol, another Jen. Not to be confused with Jen. Or Jenny. Frame man, I'm not doing anything. You belligerent so-and-so. Again, I'm using the word belligerent incorrectly. Sideburns. I don't know. I need to remind you that it's not quite as bad as Alone in the Dark, but the faces of these characters are basically 6 or 7 pixels most of the time. So I can't be absolutely certain of anything that's happening here. It's this music. It's called Silence and Motion, and I don't know why. Is it? Well, maybe there's a reason. Well, no, that doesn't make sense because there's noise. Yeah. Anyway, so he comes in, being all official like. He's relatively old. Which probably means in this universe that he's like, I don't know, 30. Well, no, he's Cheery's dad, so. But then again, maybe. There are ways of getting around that. Very specific ways that I won't get into right now. Oh, no, there aren't. Sorry, I'm confusing two bits of story. Never mind. Interpersonal relationships in these games are difficult to keep track of sometimes. Yeah, so he comes in and he says, sorry about my daughter. She's a little bit, you know, she gets ideas above her station. She won't be joining us for this mission. I've instructed her to stay in the mansion. And our characters make some comment about the fact that, you know, oh, it's ironic the father of the leader of a resistance is the general in the army who's the resistance is fighting against, or whatever. Because, you know, we need these things spelled out. We're 11 years old. Clearly Cheery's adopted and this is a teen rebellion. Yeah. I was going to point out the fact that it's not particularly ironic that the offspring of somebody in high authority is anti-authority. Sure that she will stay in the mansion. You wait just a cotton picking half an hour. So yeah, he's there. He's doing a smooth criminal and not making any sense with balance. And he basically says, yes, so you should be doing this mission. And if you would be so kind as to follow me, I will explain how the plan is going to work. And you have a little trip around the city doing things I'm supposed to try and explain. It's an oobs! How you doing? This uniform consists of a long coat and harem. Look, you get what you get. Hello and welcome to a bit of the game, arguably the most sensible bit of the game. It's an assassination attempt, but it's relatively straightforward. How do oob? How do oob do? My apologies that the first thing I'm going to do when Oobs comes into the chat is draw something from France. But I have to do it at some point. It was a bulk sale on both. It was the army surplus and also the local hippie shop. Both had a big sale on. Is it France or Fantasy France? It's Fantasy France. It's kind of, I think the city is modelled on Paris. Anyway, we've got a kind of Arc de Triomphe sort of thing going on here. I don't really know what the Arc de Triomphe looks like, but it's a big old archway in the middle of a road. And there's like some big old things and so on and so forth. And here's a door for scale. Because this door is significant. It's a big old thing. And there's like a portcullis. What does the Arc de Triomphe look like? And come here expecting this hostility. Don't worry, it's going to end up ultimately not serving a purpose, so. If not, actively hurting us. This road is also like lined with trees and stuff, that's quite nice. Anyway, so there's decorations and stuff, don't worry. It's probably like a little gargoyle or something. Anyway, yes, so we are introduced to this. Nobody's around, by the way. There's going to be a massive parade on tonight, but there is literally no one here at the moment, which is good because we are this general is walking us through the city, loudly proclaiming the assassination attempt that we're about to take part in. That's about to happen. So yeah, we're all here. This is he's pointing. He's not doing anything else. Don't worry about it. This is his coat, and this is his baggy trousers. Yeah. So we're all here. There's a Pikachu. There's a Jenny. There's a Jesse McCree. There's a VELMA. And there's a Simon. Okay, right. So, this is probably not quite to scale, it must be said. That's a bit better. Right. So, the assassination attempt is going to go thus. There will be a parade after a big speech given by the president. The president's it's basically the inauguration speech of the sorceress to be the... I can't remember what she's going to be, an ambassador or something? And the president's going to give a speech, and the sorceress is going to give a speech, and then there's going to be a big old parade. And there's going to be a float, which the sorceress is going to be on, and a float is going to drive along this road and into this area here. Theoretically, through the sorceress TM. I can't remember what her name was either. The plan is that we, as a team, are going to split up as two teams. And one team is going to be in here, which is a little room where the controls for the portcullis are. And as soon as the float goes into the this thing, the arc de failure, they're going to pull the lever, the portcullises are going to slam down, and the sorceress is going to be trapped. Meanwhile, over this way, I'm not going to bother drawing it because it doesn't particularly matter. Over this way is the big old building. I don't know, it's like kind of, I guess it's like the presidential palace or something, but it doesn't really look palacey. It's a big building. And it's where the speech is going to take place. Anyway, over on that building, there's going to be like a carousel that comes out of the roof. I've just realised how absurd that is, but there's going to be a carousel that comes out of the roof. Simon and Jesse McCree are going to be on that carousel, and Jesse McCree is going to fire the sniper shot from the top of that building into here, while she's trapped, assassinating the sorceress. That's the plan. I somehow managed to explain that faster than he does in the game, because he spends all his time walking around and not saying anything until he gets to the location he wants to stand at. I think they think this will trap her when they've seen her use portals. I don't think they've seen her use portals. Well, have they? Oh no, they have. Well, no, they saw her go behind a curtain and then she disappeared, which is enough reason, I think, to think that this probably isn't a good idea. Of one of my many ideas to make this game, to rewrite the story of this game to be better, one of the first ideas I had was just don't show her using any magic until this bit. You know? Then it's a bit more of a surprise. Anyway, we'll get to that. So that's the plan. Split into two groups. One group's going to be in here pulling a lever. The other group's going to be shooting the shot from the top of the palace on the other side of the road. Simple as. No problems whatsoever. And as a consequence, we get to wander around the city and, you know, wait for the parade to happen. And we can go and visit the bar that Jimmy, Jim, and Jen went to see No play at the piano. Because we're in the same city. That's about it, really. And we can go back and do the Harold thing if we haven't done it already. But ultimately, we're going to have to start this whole thing kicking off. So we return to the mansion, Here we are. And we all gather together in this room. Actually, no, we don't all gather. Do we? Wait, do we? I'm trying to work out the order in which some of these things happen. Oh yeah, no, you have to do it. You have to do it slightly. Yes. Okay. Cool. So we all gather here, and everything's grand. And the general. Here we are. General. Tells Simon and Jesse, follow me, we're going to go out into the now massive crowd of people who have suddenly gathered in the middle of the road. We're going to go out there and we're going to wait until the gates open for the start of the parade to run in and get into the mansion. That's the plan. So Jesse McCree picks up his sniper rifle and he starts going all quiet because he's going into solitary mode. I'm the lone wolf. I'm get a sniper. Which is it's nice that he stops flirting. That's something, I guess. Yeah, so they leave, which leaves Team Portcullis to stick around. And well, they have to go and get into the Arc de Failure. What's the French for failure? I'm just gonna say failure. Yeah, before they can do that. Now I'll draw again, it's fine, don't worry about it. Hang on, I need to, I'm sorry. Realised I need to save that because otherwise I've deleted my one picture of this character. Although to be fair, I don't think we see him again. We might do. My memory's poor. Yes. So, yes. So yeah, as we're waiting in here, the door opens. Yes, sorry, there's a lot of back and forth in this scene, and I've got to try and remember the order in which everything happens, because the outcome of this back and forth is absurd, and I have to give it the reasoning that the game gives it in order to have it make sense. Right, so, usually when I'm trying to focus on getting something right, it's because I want to properly explain how completely nonsensical this game is. Right, so Cheery comes in, what with this being her house and everything, and she comes in very excitedly saying, "I have a plan. I know how I have plans," and we all know how well her plans go. And she holds up in the air. I forgot she's wearing clouds. Sonic's clothes. This game's nonsensical, really? Believe it or not. Believe it or not. I still don't really know how to draw her hair. Love Cheery's plans. Yes, you'll love this one. So, Cheery has MacGuffin, a magical bracelet, or I suppose technically an anti-magical bracelet. It's called an. Actually, do you know what? You're gonna have to name it. For reasons that will not become apparent for a long time. It's a something bangle, if anyone wants to know. So yeah, this is a something bangle, and she claims that this has anti-magical properties. So obviously her plan is that with all the group, we're all going to sneak in to the presidential mansion and we're gonna try and convince the sorceress to put on this anti-magical bangle, and then she'll be helpless, and then we can kidnap her. And the Frame Man does not like this plan. The Bangle. I'm fine with Bangle. Come on, Frame Man, calm down. I haven't got anything open that's being annoying, is it? Oh, Steam is open. Should probably get rid of that. Cool. So yeah, that's her plan. Her plan is to somehow get into the mansion of the president, convince this strange sorceress lady to put on an anti-magical bangle, and then that's all going to work out absolutely fine. For once... oh, she's wearing boots, isn't she? Yeah. For once, somebody points out how stupid this plan is. Unfortunately for us, that somebody is Velma. Then again, she does have the whole teachery thing going on. But it's hardly going to be Pikachu or Jenny, is it? Oh, don't worry. It gets worse. So Velma has a little bit of a... She has the squidgy nose. For the sake of Oobs catching up, Velma was our ex-teacher who turned out to be 18 years old, but nonetheless was a teacher and was constantly flirting with her students. She has a whip as a weapon. She was our first red flag. And yes, this game has more than one. I think we're up to 3 now. RGs indeed. Now, the problem with the way I do shouty mouths is it's very difficult to make it look like somebody has big lips. Just looks like a moustache. There you get the idea. It's Velma. So yeah, Velma basically says, "What on earth are you talking about? That's a terrible plan. We're already in the middle of a plan. Didn't even bother to actually ask us what we were doing. We have a plan we need to execute. We are the professionals here. You know, we are the actual hired mercenaries. Granted, we're 17 and 18 years old, but nonetheless, a lot of people in this game are sexual predators. It's surprising. Not until we started doing this that I discovered that." It's amazing what you put up with when you're like 12 and don't know the difference. You find it more questionable that they made her a teacher. Exactly. There are plenty of people out there who are sexually inappropriate, but they hired her. They also fired her eventually, but yeah. I also can't draw her. That's fine. Don't worry about it. Today, I will confess, today has not been a good drawing day. So, it bodes well, doesn't it? We know better, we're professionals of 8, 17 and 12 years old. Yes. So yeah, there's a big... Velma goes on a big old "you're an idiot" rant, which, you know, she's right, but I don't want to admit that. Shorthand, keep it simple, keep it quick. He says, trying to get the shape of the boot right. What's this track? Oh yeah. How do arms? I was looking at the logo, because I've now finally understood what's actually going on in the logo of this game. There was an arm I didn't see. But now that I have seen that arm, I've seen the other arms, and I'm like, how big is Simon compared to Cheery? His bicep is the length of her head and torso combined. Which is not quite as bad as the Castlevania Symphony of the Night art, where his hand is like 3 times the size of his head. But anyway, I'm the one talking here about anatomy. Look at Mr. Master of Anatomy here. Anyway, argument ensues. Pikachu and Cherry look a bit... sorry, Jenny. If there's anyone who should be called Cherry, it's Jenny. Oh yeah, there's a dog. New plan, yeet the dog at the sorceress. That is a thing. That can happen. But not right now. That's Jive, by the way. Oops. That's Cherry's dog. Also does not follow the laws of perspective, so that you're going to fly instead. Right. So the argument ensues, and Cherry leaves in a huff, as Cherry does. But ever resourceful, by which I mean stubborn, Cherry decides to do it herself anyway. So Team Portcullis, this lot, go to the Portcullis as they are supposed to. And Team Cherry and Jive go off and sneak into the presidential mansion. What order do things happen now? Okay. Yes, I know. Cool. Right. So. The Jive hasn't left yet. Cherry hasn't left yet. Cherry and Jive. Neither of them have left yet. I think Cherry is having a bit of a sulk on the floor. It's martial law, my favorite track. That's not how feet work. Don't worry about it. It's fine. So you see why I wanted to draw this background. A lot happens in this room. So she's mulling over her plan and whether or not it'll actually work, and the fact that nobody seems to be on her side. But I've already told you how this ends, because she goes off and actually does it. Or tries to do it anyway. We'll see how well that goes. Quick poll in the chat. How well do you think it's going to go? Leave a like for very well and a subscribe for terribly. So this is her Mangle Bangle. I am going to make a note of the Mangle Bangle. Because with that, you have named a character that we will not meet for about 3 months. Right. New plan, you know enough about how this goes down. It's, you know. Human beings, they're difficult to draw. Particularly when you are used to seeing them as 3 pixels. Right, so then there, the dog's Jive's trying to cheer her up. Outer dogs. You'd think, I don't know how long I've been doing this, but you'd think I'd get better at some point. I guess it turns out you need, like, you know, specific practice rather than just scratching at a tablet to actually get better, you know. You need to practice doing things in a particular way. She looks like somebody, but it's not the person I'm trying to draw. So yeah, Oobs, have you fully caught up now? I'm sure everything's perfectly understandable at this point. Good picture of a good girl. You of course mean Jive. Yeah. Jive is a good dog. It's at this point that sorry, I just thought, how am I going to explain this in a way that doesn't sound, that makes any sense, actually? Okay. That's not an okay of I have an idea, that's an okay of I'll just do it. Score 100% on a test, no doubt. Good for you, there are tests in this game. Well, I can, hang on, I can just... Is there like lore in those tests? Sorry, I'm looking up the test to see whether or not there are questions about the lore. Oh no, it's just a guy just... Because they're all true or false questions. I'd like to know the questions. No, it's just like... This is how you solve the test. Yes, no, yes, no, 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 yes. I want to know the questions. Oh, no one seems to care about the questions. Oh, here we are. Oh, I guess there are a few things. The suck command extracts magic from enemies. True or false? What was that? That was just a grid of trues and falses. Pokemon level up with AP. The suck command, yes. Oh, that's another thing, Oobs. You suck magic out of enemies. That's the thing. You can also occasionally suck Pokemon out of enemies. That's how we got Torchic. Suck command, yeah, that's the thing. Seeing if there's anything else. Oh yeah, the space potato has dinosaurs in it. That's one of the questions. There are T-Rexes in there. That's our school, by the way. Our school is the space potato. You can steal steel pipes from Wendigos. That's a thing. And it's quite an important thing at some point for things we're gonna have to do later. We don't have to do it, but we can. The only space thing is a space potato. No. Anyway, I better get on with the actual draw through. Okay. So yeah, a slightly more sympathetic General comes in and says, "Look, this is for your own good. It's dangerous being the head of a resistance. I know at the moment we are kind of on the same side because we're both trying to take out the sorceress. I guess at this point it should be made clear that the Galbadian higher-ups are also a bit like uneasy about this sorceress TM. Because, I mean, we've been hired by the Galbadian Garden to do this. Kind of? I don't know. I think it's like a coup. I'm not entirely sure what's going on here politically. But anyway, yeah, he says, look, I'm gonna keep you in here. I know you don't want that, but I'm gonna leave now and I'm gonna lock the door so that you can't get out. Because I just want you to stay safe. There's a lot of stuff's gonna happen tonight, and whether it goes right or wrong, I don't want you to be in the middle of it. So he leaves the room. I need to explain this in step by step. He leaves the room, and I can only assume activates a timed locking mechanism on the door that has like, oh, in a minute the door's gonna lock. This is the only explanation that makes any sense. Or maybe, how about maybe he can't be bothered to lock a door himself, so he goes and finds a member of staff to do it, and then they're gonna come back and lock the door in a minute. Something like that. That probably makes more sense than a clockwork locking mechanism, to be honest, but there's a gap. There's quite a considerable gap of time between him leaving that door and the door locking. And that... Oh, it's martial law again, lovely. And that gives Cheery the opportunity to get up, imagine she's standing, and leave, and go and execute her plan. And 4, this is the bit I like. Oh yeah, it's not absurd enough yet. And for Team Portcullis to come back in because Velma wanted to come back and apologize to Cheery for yelling at her. This is after they had already gotten to their post. That she decided she felt guilty and wanted to come back and apologize. For no reason. That is an appropriate response. So yeah, these highly trained militia mercenaries should have left Velma behind in Timber. So yeah, they come running in, and Velma goes, "I apologize. Cheery, where are you?" And no more than a second after they enter the room, the door closes and locks behind them. This is why I think it's a clockwork mechanism. I can't imagine there is somebody behind that door watching people run in and nonetheless still goes and locks it. So yes, this is our esteemed instructor here. People need jobs. Yeah, but it's just... I don't know. Also, bowling and pin are also here. Oh, for the sake of clarification, this is Pikachu. Pikachu is not a Pokemon. Pokemon we have so far are Simbashanks, Torchic, Snurd, Elsa and Harold and Harold. I should specify, Pokemon are magical creatures who we can enslave, I guess? You know, trying to draw you as a bowling pin has made this much more awkward. See, they know what's going on. Right, so now the entire mission is endangered because nobody is in position to close the portcullis. Let's take a drink and a sanity check. Yeah, you do have to think like how much smoother this would be if we'd brought Pinches with us instead of Velma. But you know. Sanity? What's that? Right. So what happens now? Well, with Pinches would have made everything easier. I mean, all Pinches would have done was curled up in the corner with stomach cramps, which in and of itself would probably have been more helpful than Velma. But also for Oobs, we just got done trying to liberate a city from occupation by the Galbadian army. The resistance force that we were helping consisted of Cheery, who was the head of it, and Pinches and Patches, who were two side characters of little regard. But Pinches did eventually give us tickets out of the city, so that's nice. Doors locked, there's no escape, never mind the huge windows. Nope. The characters do look out the window and go, oh, however will we leave? It's untrustworthy. They're great. They did concoct a plan involving stealing a train while it's moving. But that bit worked. To be fair, that bit did work. The bit about kidnapping the president in the process didn't, because he turned into a monster, but that's not the point. So, cut to a very long and slow process of Cheery trying to break into the mansion. You have to climb up boxes and it takes bloody ages. But once she eventually gets in there, we find... I don't know what this is. Some sort of weird hat thing. There's a lot of weird hat things in this game. No, you don't. Right. Yes, we come in to find the sorceress, TM. I think her name's TM at this point. Is that right? She's sitting in a chair. She's having a grand old time, just staring at a door. There's just a door here. I don't know why she's staring at it. This is definitely how chairs work. Don't worry about it. Skipping that. So many copyright infringements. Sorceress TM. It has to be in parentheses. That's her name. Her name is parenthetical. I guess this chair's going to come up later as well, so I probably better draw it relatively well. Will I remember that this chair's here? Probably not. Unless we want to make your life more horrible by giving her a name like Jennifer or something. There are too many Jims and Jens. Anyway, she's in this big ostentatious room with lots of drapery that leads to another door at the end. Again, there's nothing in this room apart from the chair and the door that she's facing. Yeah, I don't know what this weird beak hat is. It literally dissolves in a minute, so don't worry about it too much. How did I draw her before? It was this one, wasn't it? There she is. She has shoulder pads, apparently. And long gloves. Fair enough. I did remember after I did that drawing that she has this weird sort of fascinator on the side of her head. I'm not sure how to draw it, but it's there. Sure. So, she's there. And guess who came to say hello? That's right. It's Jive. But also, where Jive is, Cheery is sure to follow. There's a Cheery. Executing her absolutely marvellous foolproof plan. Unfortunately, she's a fool, so she's going to bounce right off it. It's a Plabs. Hello and welcome to the best thought out assassination plot ever. Yeah, I think she had a button nose. I lose track of the noses. Hitman. Now that's tomorrow. And that'll be even worse thought out, because I'm the one who's going to have to think it out. How goes with the clamps? That's how walking works, right? Working from home today to shelter from the event. Do not think about the event. Stay indoors. That is appropriate, I guess. If you haven't watched the event sketches by Mitchell and Webb, I advise you do. Those are my favourite sketches. The emergency broadcasting system, whatever it was. I could quote it all day, but we're not. We're here to give over a Mangle Bangle. Yeah, if anything that I'm about to say is unclear, do let me know. So we're giving the Mangle Bangle to TM. Having trapped Portcullis team in a room by a clockwork lock. Hang on, just a second, I want to look up her clothing, because I don't think it's this, but I quite like what I've drawn. Or what I've ended up accidentally designing. Yeah, she's got this sort of weird split dress thing. Oh, she's got like short shorts on. No, I like this. Yeah, it's the Mangle Bangle. I like the name. The Mangle Bangle. Again, you have, by calling it the Mangle Bangle, you have named a character we will meet in, like, March? But we'll get to that. Which actually raises questions, but I can't talk about those questions for a while, so... This is how hands work, this is how bodies work, don't you worry about it. It's the draw-through time, where imagination and anatomy completely miss each other across a crowded room. Okay, so Cheery literally walks into this room, behind TM, and says, hello? Hello, I have a gift. I brought this gift. It's a gift for you. Do you want to put it on? It's a gift for your inauguration. Can you put it on, please? TM responds to this, as all good evil characters do, by not looking. Who's gonna get cursed? Better than that. I love this. Just puts in comparison how badly drawn that arm was. Instead, the Bangle takes on a mind of its own, by which I mean is controlled by the sorceress, TM. And she starts flying around and like that. Until eventually she's slammed on the floor. And then the sorceress walks up, or stands up, takes off or dissolves her weird mask, and walks through the door. By which I mean through the door. She doesn't open it, she just walks through the door. I'm not drawing that because I can't. Which I can. She's got a bun, hasn't she? There's a lot of makeup. Lots of eyeshadow and stuff. And that weird fascinating thing, not sure what it is. Every now and then when I'm drawing something like this, I think Oobs is watching this. And then I think of the people that Oobs draws, and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I know a lot of you are really good artists, but there's just something about the way Oobs just thrashes out a picture of somebody who looks like a person with proper anatomy and mood in the pose and that. And then I look at this. If we're in a dress, it's fine. No self-slamming in this household. I think you'll find this is my house, and I make the rules, and the rules are mostly self-effacing. Also, I just realised the connection between this sort of weird headdress thing she's got going on and Final Fantasy X, if anybody knows that. I won't make any specific mentions, but there's a connection. I should point out that the sorceress, while my art is incredibly lively, read cartoonish, the sorceress absolutely looks like there's nothing going on behind the eyes at all. She's just completely, you know, dead behind the eyes, as it were. Yep. So here's a door. And she goes right through it. There you go. There's your effect. There's your amazing CGI. And then she goes, oh, I'm still here. Oh. Hello. Hello. Unfortunately, I did that right on the line, so it looks like the door's closed. Or one of the doors is closed, but the other one's open. Hang on, I can fix that. Oh, hang on. No, I don't want to do that. And now... Ooh, that looks quite good. Yeah, that's pretty neat. That kind of does the job. Anyway,
Burn the witch.
Witch TM. Why does your picture not come up every now and then? Oh, whoever made this text-to-speech thing, honestly. You're back with caffeine now. Ooh, you missed the spooky things. You missed... Ooh, the sorceress disapparated through the door. Ooh. I'm quite proud of that. Could be better with time, but we don't have time. So, oh yeah, were you here when Cheery got thrown around with the Mangle Bangle? It happened.
Spoopy TM.
Spoopy TM. I honestly expected Hazel to say tum. RB's Pandora bracelets. Have you played Final Fantasy VIII? So
TM.
yeah, there you go. It's like only half the time the picture comes up.
Spoopy Tom.
That's a good picture. Yeah, Plamps, have you played FF8? It just save me some explanation. Oh, I buggered it up. Hang on. Means that you haven't. You have not played Final Fantasy VIII, and you called it the Pandora bracelet. Because that is... It's not entirely accurate. Pandora's like a company that does charm bracelets. Oh, right. Well, you came so close to absolutely convincing me you know a lot about the ending of this game. But anyway, enough of that. We'll get to that. It's fine. Someone brought one for you once, but your firearms are too powerful and the bracelet could not be resized. Oh no. I originally thought I said resisted. The bracelet could not be resisted. Yes. Funnily enough, that is actually the track that I'm working on replacing at the moment, is a track called Lunatic Pandora. What a name. Right, so... Yes, what happens now? Okay, what happens now is... I'm not going to draw this because there's no point. Simon and Jesse McCree and General Jen Errol are in the crowd of excited people ready for the parade and the speech and all that sort of stuff. And they're looking up to the mansion where the speech is happening, and the president comes up onto the roof and starts giving the speech. So here's my... This is my perspective of looking up. This perspective might be a bit too much, actually. Don't worry about it.
Hugo missed you puissant.
Puissant. How do you... Yeah. Okay, but screw that. I got a lot to get through. We're not drawing things in that level of foreshortened perspective. Particularly given that all the president actually does is walks up to the microphone and says, "Hello, everybody! And now for a speech from TM, the sorceress." And then he walks away from the microphone. But I need to draw him for reasons. So I'm going to draw him over here, having given his very brief speech. Remember, this event isn't all about him. It's about the sorceress and her being sworn into whatever position she's in. Skipping that gets copyright claim. This doesn't know, some jazzy double bass. Actually, you're over here, my apologies. I remember some things. actually, I'm just... Well, no. What did the president look like? I think he had the same sort of... hair as everybody else in this. All the men have slick back hair, all the women have the long... Rachel... thing. Right, you get the idea. That's that. And there's a sorceress here. And the sorceress comes up to the microphone and gives her speech, which basically consists of, "Pitiful mortals! You would so revel in the madness of electing somebody as powerful as I to a significant political advantage. You fools! Etc, etc. Basically, she's living up the evil. Again, lips, not moustache. Yeah. So she's very much pitting her colours to the mast here. Her colours mainly being purple. And yeah, basically saying, I'm gonna rule over you now, and you're gonna have a big old orgy party because, you know, I'm evil. Who elected this woman again? Hypnotism did. She's good at hypnotism. I'm doing a kind of hand back sort of thing. No. I'm going to imagine what it looks like to you, because occasionally my hand covers up part of what I'm drawing, and so I don't... It's only when I remove my hand that I get to see what I've just drawn. But for you, you can see the whole thing all the way through, and you're like, what are you doing? What is this? The answer is, I can't see. So yeah, she goes full-blown, I'm evil and I'm in charge now. Wait, there are feathers. I think she's got like a feather motif. Let's do that. Pretty sure that's a thing. There's some feathers coming off here as well. Completely forgot about that. There's a whole feather thing going on here. Evil boy. That's their microphones there. They're not clasps for a set of dungarees. Also joining them, something that somewhat alarms Team Sniper. speaking of hypnotism, is a clearly not compos mentis Cheery, who's just sort of hanging around for no particular reason. Well, I know why she's hanging around. But at the moment, we don't. Yeah, so she's also here. She's a bit dazed and confused. And Simon looks up and goes, "That's Cheery. What on earth? What's she doing? She's supposed to be at home." I think at this time, General Jen Errol has left. And it's just Simon and Jesse McCree looking up. Anyway, in the middle of this questionable speech, there's some semblance of perspective going on here. Yes, in the middle of this questionable speech, the president asks, "TM, are you all right? This is not the speech we agreed upon. I read the speech you did. It was quite nice. It had nice talks about, you know, the economy and the people and all that sort of stuff. What's all this, you know, world domination thing you're talking about?" At which point he gets picked up and thrown across the room and falls unconscious by magic. And yeah, so things. He also starts fizzing. I'm not sure why. Acid or something? I don't know. It's a weird effect. Is it smoke? I don't know. It looked like he was fizzing. So anyway, president's dead. Don't worry about it. So, you probably should worry about it because the president's dead. But either way, TM then says, "Let us start this party right by engaging in a little light human sacrifice." And she points up this way towards a towery thing. There's a towery thing over here, don't worry about it. Which has some gargoyle-y things on it. So like that, I don't know. None of this really looks right. I'm making it up as I go, it's fine. Just a minor human sacrifice, it's absolutely fine. But these are no ordinary looking gargles. No, these are lizard gargles. Why do you have lizard gargles on the tower of the president's mansion? I don't know. Also, they kind of have like lion backs or something. Yeah, lion tail. Surprisingly long things. Dragons! It's like a kind of Komodo dragon kind of thing. Don't worry about it. TM turns them into living things, and they come down and they attack Cheery. So that's fun. Fun fact, when we did the Fool's AU of Final Fantasy VIII, this was our main character. Only there are 2 of them here. It's fine. Yeah, so they come running down the side of the tower, and then they jump on Cheery and start attacking her. So that's fun. Our characters decide that they should probably do something about this. And so they run into... I guess in a surprisingly... Yeah, the timing doesn't quite work out with this, because this all happens while TM is still on the podium. She then leaves, manages to get down through the mansion onto the float that she's going to go onto. And then the float goes through the gates of the mansion, which allow Simon and Jesse McCree to run through the gates to get in here to save Cheery. And in that time, Cheery has not yet been completely mauled by these things. But don't worry about it. So, that's President. Yeah. So, I guess I should draw them properly. What do lizards look like? How did I draw them before? In the old... When was that Fool's AU? That was like the second Fool's AU we did? What was the second? The Final Fantasy VIII Fool's AU we did. And these are known as the Iguion, for reasons I don't quite understand. But these were our main character in that. Actually, do have like a kind of fluffy back thing. It's like a kind of half. Oh, it's Iguion because it's lion. Iguana lion, obviously. I've just realised that because, you know, that common abbreviation. Yeah, this is a boss fight, so according to the rules of the Drawthrough, I must draw it. All I remember is they have a surprisingly large thigh sort of thing going on. More like thick Huion. I'm down with the internet lingo. It's the protagonist. I can't remember what they were called in the AU. There they are. Let's draw a slightly different one. I mean, you notice there's Gecko Neko. Oh, it's like a cat. Yeah. We did the same thing, but cleverer. The Guion is terrible. Gecko Neko is a lot better. This one I'm going to give like, the proper mane up here. They've got very long necks, as I recall. We also have the opportunity during this fight to suck out a new friend. Oh yes. Because if you recall, we have the ability during certain boss fights, not all of them, but some of them, to suck out a Pokemon. So let's do that. Now this Pokemon, you may recall from the absolutely horrible version of it that was in the Final Fantasy VII Remake as DLC. I'm going to attempt to draw it better than that. So there's the Gekkoneckers. Am I gonna draw this? I think it's got that big. Nope. I said attempt, right? This might be harder than you think. I don't think it has a face, I think it's just that. It's not looking particularly accurate, but it's alright. It's not horrifying, so I'm doing well. Actually, do you know what? I should have saved this poor design for, I guess, next week's stream. That's coming up quickly, my word. I think it's probably got a small tail. It's a lot more sort of chibi-ish than this, and I'm not entirely sure. I think it's also got a fluffy tail. It's all sparkly. A plush toy Pokemon. Quick reminder that in the Final Fantasy VII Remake, it looks like this. Hang on, I had to check that this is actually the right thing. That's what we're dealing with. Not sure what happened there. I mean, it arguably it is slightly better than that. Which is just... Have you seen the music video to Danny Elfman's new song? I wouldn't recommend it if you're susceptible to nightmares, but this reminds me of it. I recommend you listen to the song, because it's quite something. Why did I all have foreheads a mile long? I don't know. I don't actually want to have a look at the original one, now that I've finished drawing it. What was that wrong? Oh yeah, it has ears, forgot about that. Oh well, one of those tufts are ears, it's fine. It's got bigger legs, looks more like a rabbit in that. Anyway. I think it is a rabbit. Well, how did it turn into a cat? Anyway, okay. So that's a new friend we can get. Add that to our list. What's the friend called? Oh, I just remembered something that I was going to get ready. Oh, I can do the same thing. Oh, I can. Yes. Hang on. I've just realised I can modify some things. Yeah, that works. Look at that. Cool. Do that. Around there. Cool. Marvellous. And I'm going to name that. And I'm going to move it over there. And we're all going to forget that existed. Don't worry about it. Okay. So. This is our new Pokemon friend, and we can get that. So. We return to... This is a whole story point, but there's nothing really to draw. We return to the wonderful, ever-present Portcullis team, who the parade has now started, and they're going to need to get to the Portcullis quick. Unfortunately, the door's locked. Luckily for us... Oh yes, I planned ahead. Didn't plan so far ahead as to not move the door handle. This room has a secret exit. And how do you get the secret exit? Well, you go to the statue in this bit that looks like it's holding something, but it isn't. And you go over here and you grab a glass from the cabinet and you take it over here and you put it in the hands of the thing. And then this turns around and it's a secret exit. The secret exit leads to the sewers, because of course it does. And you go through the sewers and it comes out right underneath the Portcullis controls in the tower, because reasons. So that's a whole thing. The sewers, naturally. Yeah, so luckily Team Portcullis can actually get there through a bizarrely coincidental series of design mistakes. Yeah, they literally lead to nowhere other than the sewers. It's just to the sewers. My assumption is that this is like a mention of people who are politically paranoid, and they're like, we need an escape route where no one will expect it to go. Who doesn't have a door in the house that doesn't go straight to the sewers? I know. I mean, I remember when we found ours, you know. We thought it was, you know, thought we were resetting the gas meter, but, you know, ka-chunk. The whole larder turned round. There's a staircase right down. Stank. Housing contractor must have had a field day here, yeah. Honestly, if I was a builder and somebody said to me, look, we want a secret rotating exit from this room to an underground series of tunnels, I would be over the moon. It's like... I mean, there must be a lot of health and safety regulations that you have to sort out, but... It's just be fun, wouldn't it? Liven up the job. So, yeah. So that happens, and basically the entire getting locked in a room situation because Velma wanted to apologize in the middle of an assassination attempt was ultimately purposeless. Padding, basically. Tension, you know, drama. Yeah. So we make our way to the portcullis controls and we're ready just in time to trap the sorceress on her float in the area of the Arc de Failure. And so now we return to... It's only when I start explaining these things I realise how little actually happens. Like, there's no point drawing that. Why would I draw that? Yeah, so we now return to Sniperville. Because after the fight... oh yeah, we still need to name our new Pokemon, by the way. So we're on the inexplicably raised carousel that exists on the top of what is essentially the White House, or Buckingham Palace or something. Yeah, there's just a big old carousel with like the horse unicorn thing with a pole in it, and then there's like a clown or something. Meanwhile, here are two people having a conversation about trying to snipe somebody to death. So, reliable team ahoy. It's at this moment that good old Jesse McCree decides to have a bout of anxiety, imposter syndrome. He basically says he can't do it. We love a reliable team, yes. And he goes on about, oh, you know, you don't know the pressure. I'm a one-person situation. If I screw up, you know, I don't have a team to back me up and all that sort of stuff. It's hard. It's a hard time. And since you've taken my cowboy hat and replaced it with a bin, I haven't been the same. I think he's got an earring as well. Just remember that. Is the term metrosexual still around? Do you remember when that was a thing? Rather than just, you know, letting people get on with what they're getting on with. Oh, he's got the cowboy boots, isn't he? The big old cowboy. I was about to say cowboy boy, but that seems a bit redundant. So yeah, he's just sort of sitting there wistfully, or nervously, basically going, I'm going to screw this up. I'm going to screw this up. I know I have been training for this my entire student career, and I'm going to screw this up. I'm absolutely, definitely going to screw this up. This is after about 2 hours of him saying, I'm the best. He's the one and only cowboy boy. Cowboy boy. Not drawing that up. Meanwhile, Pragmatic Simon metrosexual because we needed a term for cishet men that care about hygiene. And that might have an earring. That's an important part of it. Only one. Big /S tag on that one. That's what, the regular expression for white space? Oh no, that's \, sorry. I've been learning about regular expressions. Although, you know, terminology like metrosexual and the term white space is not too far off. Projects are the bane of your existence. They're simultaneously impressive, and I don't want to touch them. They are unreadable. They are so dense in their self-descriptions that it's like, I get why you're impressive, but at the same time, screw you. I could do this all in binary if I wanted to, but I don't. I would rather have a good time. How do you draw characters again? So Simon basically says, look, you're not on your own, are you? There's like 5 of us, 6 if you count Cheery, 7 if you count Jive, which you probably should. It's the most capable person here. And it's a dog. So if all goes, you know, if you mess up, if you screw up the shot, don't worry about it, because I'm here and I'll just go rushing in with my sword. I have a sword with a gun in it. It's called a gunblade. Also, my hair's just completely lost control. How do you draw? I think I used to know. I think this is the first time I've drawn Simon today. So yeah, he basically goes, look, just, okay, so if you want to, if it makes you feel better, just consider your shot like a starting pistol for us to do our thing. If you hit, great, fantastic, which is not a good analogy because you probably shouldn't hit athletes with a starting pistol. But if you hit, great. If you don't worry, we can finish the job. Am I giving the pep talks? I'm 12. It's, yeah. He has protagonist syndrome. Everybody has to be saved by him. Which actually is kind of a thing in this game. We'll get into that, I guess. He was like, look, I've got this big old sword with a gun in it. We'll probably be fine. Assassinations will occur. Is it much of a pep talk? You know, hey, this important thing that you're doing, that you're really worried about the outcome of it, don't worry about it, because basically it just sort of, it doesn't matter. You don't really matter in this whole scheme of things. You know, we've got a job to do, so, you know, do your thing, and then we can get on with that. Also, what's going on with my body? I don't know. Always plan your... Sorry, I've just looked back at Jesse McCree. Oh dear. His upper body is very large. Don't worry about it. Yeah, quick reminder, there's clowns here. Hello there. Anyway. He's saying performance anxiety. That's the one! Performance anxiety. There was one stage in my streaming career when I thought, I'm going to train myself to stop saying That hasn't happened, has it? Why is there a clown? This is a carousel. I don't know why they're just on this carousel that raises out of the top of the president's house. Don't ask questions. There's like unicorns and a... Whatever. So yeah, eventually Jesse McCree gets ready, gets his gun over the side, looks through the sights, sees the sorceress. I should point out that the portcullis has now been dropped, and the sorceress TM is now trapped on her float in the middle of the parade, in the middle of the arch. And he looks for his sights, and he shoots, and it whizzes through the air, and
Must have been the wind.
must have been the wind. Turns out the sorceress is magical, and just holds up a barrier, and the bullet just sort of pings off. Portcullis is down. There's the big old arch. She's huge. Yeah, so basically, Jesse McCree was ultimately pointless. Must have been the wind. So, Sorcerer's TM is magical. Why did no one tell me? See, this is why, again, there are so many ways you can make this a good story. If you find out now that she's magical. What a reveal! Anyway, enough of that. So, Simon, as I think anybody would do at this point, jumps off the building. And into a car that just happens to be on the road at the bottom. And he drives towards the Arc de Failure. Appropriate name. Smashes into the portcullis and then jumps in. Sword in hand, ready to fight. But who does he find? Who does he find? The big old flowery float. Convenience. That was the Metal Gear Solid Drawthrough. So, no, not convenient. Oh, I keep forgetting. How do you draw? How do you hold a gun blade? Really should have worked this out first stream. Yep, this person's definitely proficient in holding this. It's fine. Honestly, that hair is the closest I've actually got to drawing this character's hair properly. I always forget the scar as well. Yep, definitely how you hold it, don't worry. This is the fumes of the car that he just crashed. But yes, that is correct. It's the only character unaccounted for in this particular scenario. It's Kyle. So yeah, and Kyle starts going on. It's your baby boy. He's alive. He has not been executed. He is, however, babbling on about finally fulfilling his childhood dream of becoming the sorceress's knight. And Simon, tiny ears, forgot tiny ears. Simon, I think, makes a point at this point of going, "You have literally never mentioned this ever before. What are you talking about?" He's going, "Look, I'm more successful than you now." Jealousy. I finally fulfilled my ambition. What are you doing with your life? Don't know why this doesn't look like Kyle, but sure. Red flags. So yeah, he's the sorceress's knight now. That's his thing. And he's very pleased about it. So he is going to protect the sorceress from the attacks. To be fair, this is an assassination attempt on a politician, so can't really blame him too much. Sorceress TM, don't pick up random 12-year-olds for your harem. Look, he's technically 17. Just because he was in a coma for 5 years. So yeah, good old rival battle ensues. Mano a mano, at least right up until Cheery and Jesse McCree run in and help, but I'm not going to draw that. Technically, which is still a minor. Is that, I thought it was 16, or is that just a UK thing? It's different in different places. It's very confusing. Isn't it like 12 in the Vatican? One of those weird laws. Anyway, enough of that. Sorceress is also here, and I've drawn her in roughly this position before, so I'm gonna copy that. Don't mind me. Can't get over how little this looks like the sorceress. I think we should take the Vatican as an example for anything. I think it's one of those historical things where they, like, when they set up the Vatican as being an independent place, they took the laws of whatever was nearby, Italy in the whatever century, and they just never bothered changing the laws from then. There's like flowers. Can't believe I didn't draw the dancers. There's some weird dancers at this thing. And I don't know whether they were under the influence of the sorceress or whether that was just planned, but it's weird. So yeah, big old fight ensues. Fight. And ultimately you win. That was not in what's going on? Right. Ultimately you win. At least you win the fight against Kyle, because Kyle is 12. And I should also point out, which now doesn't make an awful lot of sense. You know, you've got the gunblade. You've got Simon's got a gunblade. Pikachu's got his fists. Jenny Eric has her nunchucks. Velma's got a whip. I don't think I ever explained that Cheery has like a wrist-mounted boomerang shuriken. I don't really know how to describe it. And she can get Jive to hop up on there and fire Jive into the enemy. But I think this is going to overshadow what I'm actually talking about. Yeah, it's weird. I'm not entirely sure what it's supposed to be. Oops. Is that the right word? Matching scars. But yeah, Jesse McCree uses a gun. Obviously, he's a sniper. But I think he uses like a shotgun. I don't know why. I think it might just be a general rifle, but you can put shotgun ammunition into it. I don't know. So yeah, it turns out 3 plucky mercenaries versus one 12-year-old with a superiority complex. Turns out they beat him, and you get to fight the sorceress herself. And in true JRPG fashion, the first time you meet the big boss who's causing problems, you kill them and you win the game, and that's it. Good. Everybody wins. No problems. Life's grand. Life's good. Alternatively, she is magical. Believe it or not, she has magic. And some of that magic includes the ability to summon ice just out of nowhere, and it gets embedded into Simon's chest, and he falls over and dies. And that's the end of the game. Yeah, that's why I drew that before. It was a thing. It went phew, and I used the door thing that I did earlier. It all came together in the end. Yeah, so she fires a massive chunk of ice through the chest of Simon, and he falls backwards and loses consciousness. There we go. End of disc 1. Our main character has been impaled. He's dead. Sometimes I can still hear his voice. That goes it literally goes right through his chest. Now, this might be the point that's worth saying, that if you thought this game was weird, there is a prevalent theory in the fan community that Simon actually dies here. And that the rest of the game is a kind of afterlife limbo fever dream? Or like the death throes of somebody who's dying? What point I'm trying to make here is that the rest of the game is so weird that that is a better explanation as to what happens. So just bear that in mind for disc 2. I thought this game was very normal, actually. So yeah, big old. I think actually there's like 3 spikes. That'll do. So it's Lost. It's the island from Lost. Oh, I haven't seen Lost. Spoilers. That's all right. I know that the ending is terrible. I do want to watch this one day, but Classic main character was dying, actually theory, yes. But I just love the fact that the writers have outright said that's not what happens. They were asked it directly in an interview and they said, no, that's not a thing. But I think it says a lot about your plot when more people are willing to believe that everything you say is a lie and that the character's dead, and that makes more sense. I think that says a lot about your writing. It's been over a decade. I'm still watching things from the 60s. I haven't caught up on the Avengers yet. There's like, I've seen only like 2 episodes of The Saint. I've got lots of stuff to do and lots of stuff to watch. So yeah. That's disc 1. Thank you for coming to disc 1. A lot's happened. Oh, we've come a long way since the space potato, haven't we? Yeah. Thank you for coming to stream. Next week we start disc 2, and it will make perfect sense. Yes. But rest in peace, Simon. Thank you for being our protagonist. You were arguably one of the least worst characters. Yeah. Hamtit, look, you can't do much with an anagram of Hitman, right? I'd also like to point out that the illustration I did for that. So, for example, here's Wednesday's picture. This is a picture of the Hitman himself. And I decided to do something different for Saturday's picture, which is that. Which is like kind of spot the difference. Which one? Yeah, it's nice to have an egg and ham. No, it's not. It's Agent 47. Look, see? The same. It's a slightly different angle, but it's the same. Mr. Egg. Egg 47. That sounds like a weird cocktail. Oh, this is the... Hang on. Back here. The track that is currently playing, just as evidence, is called Lunatic Pandora. See? Pandora does come into it. This is also the last time you'll hear it on this stream, because I've almost finished my new version of it. 47 eggs, that's a bit much. Eh. I am making a quiche on Thursday. I'll let you know how that goes. What kind of cake are you making that needs 47 eggs? A quiche cake. So, yes. Tomorrow, we're going to play the biggest game I've ever installed on my computer. I literally spent an hour trying to free up enough space to install it. Turns out, Tabletop Simulator workshop stuff caches a lot of information. So that was 6 gigabytes saved. It's 65 gigabytes. It's a big game. And like this computer does have a hard drive, which is quite big, but it also has a solid state drive, and I like to have the games on the solid state drive so that they load quickly. But it's also smaller because it's a solid state drive and they're expensive. Anywho, it's installed now. You have Borderlands 3 at the moment, it's like 100 plus. Modern games, they're out of... And Borderlands, like, it's not even like that needs to be particularly graphically intensive. That's got shell shading, that's what it's got. It has shell shading. 100 gigs? No. Is there a commercial game that's come out on PC that is a terabyte big? Is that a thing? Also, I can't show you this, but one of my... Shell shading, absolutely. But one of my favourite things about Hitman is that it's the 6th Hitman game, which you can tell from the name, but you can doubly tell from the thumbnail of the game, which obviously has the number 47 in it. So that makes it the 6th. It's very confusing, but Hitman 3 is coming out soon, which is Hitman 8, which will probably also have a 47 in it, because... Right, I would like to play the older Hitman games at some point, but anyway, Hitman, next week, tomorrow, And next week, probably. It's quite a long game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 47. What is this? Windows? Fast and Furious Rise. Okay, on the count of the. I had a stupid joke today. Rock musicians. Rock musicians are often. People often say that they're stupid, particularly the drummers. But you know, they can count. They can count to at least 4, although it does take them a couple of tries. It's like 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. Anyway, bad jokes aside, thank you for coming along to the stream and for witnessing the death of Simon. We will return next time with the new protagonist. Gaspon. It's like Gaston, but gasping. Boo in a good way. Oh, like a ghost. Ooh. Yeah. Thank you for coming along. We're gonna hit some men tomorrow. I hope you're looking forward to my pacifist run. And yeah, have a grand old time. I hope your week, if it hasn't already started fantabulously, that it continues fantabulously. Okay, bye. See you soon. Have a great day. You have a great day. I like how urgent that seems. Have a wonderful time, everyone. Enjoy yourselves. Goodbye.